I have just had my 5th conversation with Mayke, and we kind of started in the same place as we did last time, which is blank. What is there? Where to go? And we went into something that I find very interested in, and we sampled from different angles using different metaphors or personal like relationships to this thing, which is what's the difference when you're being in relationship to, or in relationship with, or in relationship in something. We spend a lot of time there. So if that piques your interest at all, dive in and see if you're in relationship to, with, or in this with me and Mayke.
And I see you already in a business-like mode. And
But I'm cheating a little bit. I have on these wild leggings, so I'm not really. I got out of bed 15 minutes ago.
Oh, wow. An hour ago, and I was listening to, is it Gary? Gary
Prince?
His latest. Wow, impressive. Yeah, okay. And for us now, I'm blank.
We usually end up somewhere anyway, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's an interesting question that you raise for me. It's like, have you listened to many of the other podcasts in this series, or just this one, or not?
Yeah.
Do you listen to yourself, those podcasts?
No. No. This is something. It's on my to-do list. I will. Yeah, for sure. But I haven't, and I certainly haven't listened to mine. It's lovely to be in it, so.
Because it's interesting when I think it really started when I did, when me and Caspian and Dominic started to do Buddhas by the Roadside. Then I started to listen to those episodes, and I have such a blast listening to them. I have a blast being in them, being in conversation with them, but then I can listen to them, after the fact, once they're released, and really enjoy it. So I try to listen to all of these. I probably haven't listened to all of them, but I usually do. And, it's other things show up. I see other things. I hear other things. Not in the sense of, oh, I should have done that, or we could have done that. But rather, when I'm in this, some things pop out for me, and when I'm listening to them after the fact, other things can kind of, wave a little, there's a little subtle movement or color, to the side that just makes me go, so I quite enjoy it. And I've been listening to myself in other podcasts too, if I'm a guest in another podcast, and I can enjoy it. And I think that is one of the reasons why it's like I've come to enjoy the way that I sound. because, inside I sound different than what I do if I listen to myself from the outside. But so yeah, it's quite special.
It is.
Now I have Pop the cat lying beside me on the table and he's purring, which makes me go, I wonder if the microphone will pick up his purring. But he was snoring before, lying in bed next to me, snoring. So purring is better.
So, Helena, what will be this theme, our theme today? And for me, starting from blank. When my eyes are just roaming over the wall, when my wall I'm looking at, then I see the sentence, don't just sit there. And it's meant as how to sit behind a computer for a longer time. You have to do some exercises.
You have to move about.
Yes. Yeah. So that's it. So that's the sentence. Don't just sit there. You have to move about.
Mm.
So it's defensive, I know, but so I'm starting with a question. So what is your movement about?
Well, I was sitting in bed writing from yesterday's session with Dominic, process-oriented therapy session. And we ended on something that I find quite interesting. Because Dominic asked me, how are you when you are in relationship to or in relationship with or in relationship in something? Yeah.
Wow.
And when he asked me that yesterday, as because when he asked me a question like that, I usually close my eyes to sort of feel into what happens. And it's like mathematics popped into my mind that, there's a to within, that there's a difference in, I could explain this in ways, in terms of equations or like a visual math problem or something. Because if I'm in relationship to, it's like this microphone to my right? I'm sitting half a meter from it, and I'm I'm not directly facing it, but I'm not looking away from it. I don't have my back to it. Here I am in relationship to something, and this microphone couldn't give a hoot about me or what I'm doing or what I'm not doing. It's not interested in, so it's relationship to something. It's me I'm the conscious one. I'm the one who knows I have pop to my left. And I have the thermos and the cup. It's like, it's my awareness. It's me. So, my thermos, again, doesn't give a hoot about me, right? If I'm in relationship with, it's more of the dance. It is like now I moved and Pop noticed. So we're in relationship. I'm in relationship with Pop here. He's going, oh, can you please stop moving your hands about and speaking so loudly? Because I'm trying to sleep here. All right, so we are dancing, and it can be a little bit like, it can be like magnets, where there can be the pull towards or the repelling, going away from, but it's still in relationship with. The two impacts the field between them. And then if I'm in relationship in, it is like what Dominic helps me do now and again when he does a guided meditation, and then he tells me to open my eyes and look at the world through my eyeballs from the back of my eye. And that has me seeing the entire world totally different. And I'm in the world where I'm aware of what seems to be physical boundaries of me and Dominic sitting in front of me or the computer here in front of me, but I'm also in them somehow. Which is a very, very, it's like a naked state of being. It is very, it's like I'm totally immersed in
Beautiful. What pops up now is the word nature. So there is a lot of advice. Let's say go into nature. You have to stop sitting and move and go into nature. Yeah, and there is a gap, so probably it's about a starting point. For me, it's always about a starting point. Who is it? Let's say, who does the starting? But so most of the people, it seems, they stand up and then they move and they go into nature. And then we forget that we are nature. I forget that I am nature. And when I hear things like that, it's so funny. There is something inside of me that's, let's say, the dominant, I want to say listener, but I'm not quite sure if it really listens. I want to say receiver, but I'm not quite sure it receives really. Let's call it for now grabs. It's the grabber. It grabs information, and now I lost track. I lost track. I don't know what. Didn't know what I wanted to say. Oh yeah, that's it. It's about, wow, all the process of listening is now coming to me. Wow, but through the grabber. So what the grabber does when it's, in this case, it comes towards me, and then it grabs immediately without receiving. And what happened then immediately there is opening up a gap. I'm here, not nature, trying to connect with nature. And that I experienced a lot. A gap between me and, let's say, and the world. And without realizing what I'm doing myself to create the gap.
I'm fascinated that you bring up the word nature in relationship to this. Because I have been, ever since I reread Ishmael this year and the other books by Daniel Quinn, I've been quite engaged in different types of conversations, a lot of them on Twitter, but also in the podcast, also with friends off and on chats and in book clubs. And, it's like, and I wonder if that relationship too with and in nature isn't a perfect illustration of the power of separation, like you say, based on my starting point. Based on my starting point, I can put walls in place, or I can, I'm not sure it is a removal. I think maybe it is, and then there's walls. So the being in might be the most primitive or original state of being. Which brings me to another thread, the Jill Bolte Taylor TED Talk, when the neuroscientist who had a stroke and could kind of, she could experience how her walls were removed. And as she did experience that, when the stroke kind of, knocked out function after function count, how what she was left with was this absoluteness of isness, of inness, of simply being. And it didn't really, very fluid, no boundary of herself, but rather just this being in the energy field of everything somehow. Pop. And when we're in relationship to nature, it is very easy to objectify it. It is very easy to utilize it, to take, whether it be, oil or gas or peat or coal or wind or sun or logging trees or whatever. It's like, here I am in relationship to something, and I can do what I want with this something. And then there's the relationship with. that somehow is this. I see that it is important. I can see that my actions matter. What I do will have an impact, etc., etc. But there's still this aspect of, I don't know why, I flash on control, and I flash kind of on parent-child relationship, where the parent kind of, I know better than my child, and therefore, yes, we're in relationship with each other, but I'm the one who knows. I'm the one who, that's the sense that I have when it comes to a lot of the with nature stuff. And then there's the in, which understands that I am not looking at nature. I am not in relationship with nature. I am nature. I am as much a part of it as Pop is, as the little squirrels and birds outside of my window is, as the water is, as the tree is, as this house is, as all of what is here is nature. Which levels the field. The hierarchy, just poof, it's just gone. In the width, there's hierarchy.
Wow.
In the two, there's objectification, there's abuse, or for the benefit of me, I get to, extract whatever I want. So it's like, and then here in the in, it just is.
Beautiful. Beautiful what you said about hierarchy vanishes.
Mm.
And I think, is hierarchy bad? I don't think so. Immediately I'm thinking about hierarchy in nature. But probably it's a natural hierarchy.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because it's like, I mean, you can look at hierarchy in the way of like developmental aspects. What can a little worm do, and what can I do? And I have my cognitive brain. Yeah, but flatworms, I actually saw a video the other day of a little flatworm. They're like a centimeter long, right? They sliced it in 4 pieces. And in a couple of days, there were 4 flatworms. Each of those pieces managed to regenerate themselves. And it's just, shit, humans really don't do that. It's like, here we are thinking our cognitive brain is, the pinnacle of creation. It's like, what? Imagine cutting me in 4 pieces and there will be 4 humans in a week. It's like, whoa. It's like amazing. Who says cognition is top at the top of the hierarchy? It's like, what about regeneration? And somebody else, I read a paper on the fact that our complex brain, our intellect, our cognitive intellectual capacity doesn't really seem to be such a hit from an evolutionary standpoint because we're the only ones. it's like fur. Yeah, there's plenty of creatures who have fur because it really serves. There's plenty of creatures that fly, be they insect or bird or, whatever. But our brain, it's like this is an evolutionary dead end. Nobody has, as yet, yes, seen the benefit from an energy. What does it cost and what does it provide? And that was just tankespjärn. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or the other thing, but we're the only ones. And a lot of other traits in nature are not in singular. They're not in a singular species. They're in you can find eyes. Yeah, there's plenty of different species that have eyes, like vision. Yeah, that seems to make sense. It costs this much to generate, but it gives all of these benefits. It's worthwhile doing. That brought me down a rabbit hole, but that's where I was at. I looked when I watched Seaspiracy in the spring, a documentary about the oceans, about what's going on, what's the state of the oceans. And again, hierarchy, it's as if the importance or what makes a hierarchy viable is not the fact that here's a bottom rung, here's something a little bit higher, and here's something, and here at the top are, the top predators or whatnot. It is again, it's the relationships. Because you wouldn't have top predators if you didn't have the other rungs. And if you remove that one, the entirety will collapse. It's like, because it's a whole.
Yes.
It's a hierarchy, but it's a whole. I think maybe that's
I guess the circle pops in now, is entering. So the in geometry sense, there is the triangle. It's also a beautiful one, but now there is this everlasting circle. And in this, I find special that, let's say you have plankton. Probably it's not visible with the eye, and then you have, let's say, a whale, a huge whale. And in the circle, it doesn't matter. Because if plankton, the smallest one, is disappearing, the whole circle is following.
Yeah.
So, and now to my life. What is already disappearing in a very small, let's say, the plankton, and I'm not aware of, and will have huge consequences for my own existence.
Yesterday in session with Dominic, I was reminded of a thing in the past when I, quite early on in my last marriage, my second marriage, where my then husband, let's say it this way, a door opened for him to work. A door opened within him, or at least a door appeared within him, that he could have entered and started to, see what's there, what's inside me. But he chose not to. He saw the door and he said, nah, not for me. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go through that door. And I saw yesterday that decision is one of those pivotal ones that I'm guessing, had he made another decision, I'm not sure we would have divorced. And if we would have divorced, it would have been on different grounds than what was the reason for our divorce. So it's like, that's also an aspect of this. It's like there's, now and again, you come to a fork in the path, in the fork in the road. It's like the ones I choose will impact the whole. I don't know how, but it will. And it also made me see yesterday how the choice he made, was hugely impactful on me. In me. What's the choices I make in relationship to me, with me, in me? And how then does that affect the relationship that he and I were in? And it's just, it's like an endless maze. You just open a door and open a door and open. It's just it's like our actions and inactions matter. What I do matter, what I don't do matter, what I say matter, what I don't say matter. It's all intricately it matters. It opens or closes. And then what comes after that, is kind of dependent on what happened before. And then it's new doors opening or closing based on the other ones.
That's true. And so this is what you are creating right now, this web with millions of possibilities. Yeah. And then, so let's say you are so influenced and you come to a certain point, and then from that you will interact with me. Now I can feel it starts all anew over here. And so you let's use colors. You react or you act, and then it's red. And normally I'm a person who I have a trigger. Let's say I have a trigger to red. It's so funny. Now I can feel the enormous space I have to express myself. Mm-hmm. But normally, it isn't there. I'm already biased when I'm not in the now. When I'm not in nature, I will be triggered, and then it's the expected. And then it becomes a reaction. Can you follow me yet or not?
I can follow you. I think.
Your story made me clear about how much space there is. I am not a victim. I'm not leidend voorwerp. I'm active. I have my whole space. Imagine you, so much happened in your life. And you roll and roll and roll, and in a certain point, you interact with me, and in that moment, you're red. If I'm not conscious, I become red immediately. You don't need to say, and I already smelled it. And I'm not quite sure if I want to be red. I'm not red. I start blank. I guess for me, this is an element of freedom that I can, that the time in, the space, time before your choice.
Yes. And that's what I realize when I say that everything matters, I don't mean to imply that I need to, perform a risk assessment and evaluate and very deliberately choose the one or the other because what if, which might lead people to kind of inaction because they're so uncertain or fearful of what might be if I choose this or that or the other thing. It's more just in, on a higher plane. It's like the choices that we make, be they extremely conscious or totally unconscious, play a part in how life unfolds. And as you say, the more conscious I am, or rather, the more present I am in the moment, I think that's where the freedom opens up. That's where the space. Because the opposite of that is like feeling so constricted or put in a very, 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 very tiny little enclosed area where, the only way, like you say, triggered red. Okay, did I want to be red now? It's like, no, but here in the bigger space, it's like, how many shades of color are there? Plenty, right? A gazillion, probably. And you might go, yellow. I haven't done yellow in a really long time. Let's go for yellow.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's go for yellow, and that there is this space to do that. I experience people, and they love to do yellow, but they don't allow themselves. They are holding themselves back. Mm. There is underneath our conversation, there is another one going on for me, and I don't know. Probably I don't want to engage with it.
But now you've said A, don't you have to say B then? Do you have a choice?
I can't say anything. I started, I don't know. And then I know already it's a defense. It's a defense mechanism. It has, I'm sad, I guess. And I even don't know about what. And sad, it's too harsh. It's too harsh a word for it. Oh, and it's lower in pulse, maybe even lower in energy. And I guess what I want is I want to pack it all in and have one answer.
Good luck with that.
And then so Ken Wilber, he did. He did it. So
What was his answer?
Don't
What was his answer?
I don't know. I skimmed the surface. The theory of all or something. It sounds. I want, Helena, I want an answer. Can you give me an answer?
No. I don't have one, and I'm not sure there is one. And one of my favorite cartoons by a Greek cartoonist, it's called A Day at the Park, I think, has these two creatures coming up and sitting at a bench, a park bench. And the one of them collects questions. He has this box of questions. And he collects questions. And the other one cannot, for the life of him, see why questions. You know, it would make so much more sense to collect answers. And this question collector says, oh no, answers are, they're dime a dozen, it's like you can find answers everywhere for everything. It's like, but it's the questions that open up, and the questions that might not even have an answer. And you can just kind of see the thrill in him at the opening force, power inherent in questions. And I just love, I love that. Sitting with a question can be so uncomfortable. It can want me, it can have me want to have the answer, an answer, any answer, but here, quick, ready, like you say, neatly packaged. Here it is. Signed, sealed, delivered. Yeah, done. And questions, oh no, they can be like, what if, or the other thing, or looking from above or below or behind. It's like, I love me some questions. So no, I don't have an answer for you. I might have questions. Yesterday again, Dominic asked me something. And I so wanted to give an answer because I was so uncomfortable with with what might be. I wanted to give him a ready answer, a neat, tightly packaged answer that said, no, I'm not like that at all. And instead, it was like, am I like that? Do I do that? It's like, it just opened up this quagmire of uncertainty and uncomfortableness and well, discomfort is the word for that. But, it's like, so again, that's a perfect example of where or why the question is so important, because it is this, what's there? It is that space. It opens up that space where there might be any color popping up. But if I were to say, no, it's this, it's like, yeah, it's blue, period, done. And I don't think it is blue. It's like, no, it isn't. But I would love for it to be, so that I could say it, so that I could just be rid of it. Next, and so being comfortable in the discomfort of the not knowing, being comfortable in the uncertainty of not having an answer or even wanting to have an answer. Yeah, that can be tricky now and again.
Yes, for me, what I was asking, this time I asked for an answer without me formulating a question even.
Yeah.
I heard a trainer said something about, it was a joke about, is there someone here to have a few questions? Become I have an answer or something. Yeah. It's ridiculous. What I like, I love what you're saying about the question field. Yeah, and I love what it opens up in education systems. We're so groomed into finding answers and not in discovering the right questions.
And like you say, a lot of those answers are given without the question even being voiced. Right?
Yes.
Which has a lot of kids or students going, okay, without knowing why is this piece of answer relevant? Because they don't know the why. They don't know the question of it. It's just, here it is. Eat it. Yeah, but why? What does it, how does this nourish me? What does it do for me? Where's the...
Yeah, and it's when we relate it to the relation questions in with two. So if you ask a question and you don't know you're in the hierarchy, the question or the answer is already contaminated. Mm-hmm. And when you were talking about the field of questions, I could, the opposite popped up, and that's the answer field. And I realized I am the answer. I am, and probably without any questions before. That's funny, I realized, being the answer without any questions. And I change. So depending on in which room I am, depending with the different people I am and in what kind of relationship. Without me knowing, I blend into answer after answer after answer. Isn't this a funny thought?
It reminds me of where you, me, and two other people were conversing the other day about the inherent uniqueness in all of us, about the inherent onlyness in all of us, that, everybody knows no two snowflakes look the same. But I don't think that is as understood when it comes to the fact that no two leaves look the same either. No two cats look the same. No two humans look the same. No two rocks look the same. No two trees look the same. They might be really super similar, but they're not the same. It is not carbon copies. It is unique individuals in a whole, in that circle. So when you say you're the answer, I'm thinking from that angle, yes, you are. You are the answer that said, we need a Mayke, right? We need her. Universe needs her. Just like universe said, oh, we need to Pop the cat. So he's the answer to that question, whatever that is, or that need. You're the answer to that need. I'm the answer to that need. So the absolutely best thing we could do is be.
Yeah. And for me, it's something pops up about me being here without need, if it's even beyond that. It's beyond a kind of a need, and then follows this, follows that. So yeah, probably I had a question, but so it also is about I'm my own answer.
Yeah.
I didn't know I was looking for.
The other day on Twitter, I read a little statement by somebody and I engaged with it. Some type of a little nugget of wisdom. And I thought, oh, this makes sense. And a couple of seconds later, another account had taken that very nugget of wisdom and put it out into the world as if it was what they had said. Not retweeting, you can take this thing and you can set it out into my feed, which makes it visible that it comes from this person and this is the statement, but rather had just copied the text and put it out as if, here's my nugget of wisdom. And it just confused me. And this person reached out in a direct message to me. I don't really know why, but saying hi. So I said, hi. And I was so confused that I actually asked, did you just take this text and put it out as if it was your own without acknowledging who it was from? And we had a little bit of a back and forth where this person was saying, I'm not a native English speaker. I do this so that I can learn. And I'm going, you're not learning anything by copy pasting somebody else's words and just putting them out into the world. How, it's like, for me, I don't see it. Like, I don't see it in that action. I don't see how you learn. If you, on the other hand, see that and respond to it, asking a question or another statement of your own, or, it's like trying to, how can I say this in my words? Yeah, then you would be, practicing learning English better or whatever it was. But it kind of hinges, at least on what we're speaking about here too. It is like, it's not interesting with carbon copies. It's not as interesting, at least. I mean, because I'm interested in you. What you give, where your thoughts might lead to, what colors you might bring, what, it's like that thing. Oh, it's so much more of interest to me. It has me want to come closer. Kind of regardless if I like the color you're putting out or not, but at least I'm interested in the fact that, okay, here's a very Mayke color. It's like, can I have some more of that, please? Because there only is one Mayke. And the colors of Mayke can shift. It's like, it's not one color you. It's like a gazillion colors of you, but it's you.
Yeah, living in a time where it's so extremely important to color with our use. Yeah.
Yeah. And how much of the world kind of seems intent on the other thing, on the opposite of that. It's like, okay, can we make you guys yellow? and you guys over here, you can be red. But it's like, don't give me a gazillion hues of yellow. It's like, no, I want the one. It's easier that way. I can clump you together. I can categorize you. I can say you're good or you're bad, or the other thing. It's like, that has its, categorizing definitely serves a purpose. It's language. It's kind of born on a it rests on a foundation of categories. It's like cup, cat, ball, piano, sofa, human, and also so much more than human. This human that sits here is like not just with bunny ears a human. It's like, this is Helena, and what is that? And so much more than that too, because there's the in us, it's like
we these days I hear a lot of complaining about, is it government, and their messages and their rules to obey to, and I see a link between my inner critic, so in, so out, and how the government is expressing itself. So, like you say, they love to categorize. They need to categorize, otherwise you can't control. And that's the same with, let's say, my inner critic or whatever, or my ego. That's on top of it, control. And there is a triangle, and the steering mechanism is on top of it, and it needs to control and push down. What, this kind of yellow? No, never. Over my dead body. Try again. So I guess I don't know if I make it up, because these days I have an answer, what's coming through me, what's going on in the world. I want to answer it in the same way. Don't do that, do this, like that. So, and then my dictator is coming out. But let's say the urge to I have to respond. I have to relate to all what's happening. And so I like this thought about at least to relate with the inner critic with the ego, and become, let's say, more freer than I am from, let's say, from the inside out. And I love the idea of more people in the world doing their inner work and become more free, even if in a world that becomes less freer by the day. Amen.
That reminds me of a very short book that I read the other day that I'm gonna run and get. Because there was a piece in it that made me go, oh my God. The book is Martin Buber,
Yes.
a German philosopher, religious, whatever, writer. And the book is The Way of Man, according to the teaching of Hasidism, which is a mystical religious movement born among Orthodox Jews. And it's six little Hasidic I guess, stories that he then expand upon, talk around, not explain as much as kind of open up to see what the story points to. And the first one is called Heart Searching. And a couple of pages in, it says, the decisive heart searching is the beginning of the way in man's life. It is, again and again, the beginning of a human way. But heart searching is decisive only if it leads to the way. For there is a sterile kind of heart searching, which leads to nothing but self-torture, despair, and still deeper enmeshment. So when you said, I would love for more people to do the inner work, to find the freedom in that, to have that freedom, I go, yes, and not all inner work won't automatically lead to that, because there is this sterile type of heart searching. There is a inner work that can be done in such a way that it actually just closes you down even further and further and further, and strips you of options rather. And it was just, it is that, for me, it's the difference between if it's closing or if it's opening. If it's reducing or enabling, if it's, it's like, and perhaps it's even more than that. Perhaps it's not open and you shouldn't close. It is that there's movement. That, because I can come up against something when I do inner work that just closes me down completely. Right now, right here. But if I sit with it, or, some time moves and other insights, then there might be an opening. But if it closes kind of permanently, if the work I do just closes me down and I'm not, it's like inhalation, a great thing, but it's really pointless if you don't have the exhalation. Exhalation, a great thing, but it's really pointless if you don't have the inhalation. Am I making sense at all?
I don't know yet. It's beautiful what you are saying, and for me, it's totally new. Let's say when I'm using the words the work, for me, also connected to the heart, and it's what I experience is space. It when I make it smaller and bring it down to the trigger, triggers can be detonated, and that's my freedom. That I open up, that I become more aware of the space I have when something comes towards me. When I triggered, it's kaboom immediately. So that's what I experienced up till now. And now you're bringing in a total new concept of me that you can do inner work. Wow. And that it brings you down, not what he calls on the path of whoa.
And I like your analogy of the trigger that goes boom, that detonates, because what if the inner work that I do is only me collecting my triggers, but never detonating them. It's like, I think that's a perfect analogy, because all of a sudden you're sitting in front of this room and it's chock-a-block full of triggers, and I never step on any of them. I never detonate them. It's like, I can't move here, because I'm so afraid of what might happen if it detonates, so that I'm stuck in place. I'm so far away from freedom and movement that I go rigid here, because I cannot, because what if, not realizing perhaps, or not being helped to see, or whatever, not daring to actually detonate a trigger, because that's where, like you say, that's when the space comes, is like, boo, oh, I'm still alive. Yeah. But if you never do that, you're stuck in the thought that if I do that, I'll die. So I'd rather not do that. And, if you still keep on finding new triggers because you are interested in the inner work, but you don't
Do the work.
you don't do the work, precisely. You don't follow through. You're not in it. And, I say that I was afraid to meet people, truly, truly meet people, before I learned how to do gentle with myself, because I was so harsh that I was afraid to meet you, because I was fearful of what I might find in me that I would not want. I would not want to own it. I would not want to have it. I did definitely not want to know about it, So I shut down connection with others. I kind of stayed in this two place, because I was so afraid of being in relation with me that it was impossible to be anywhere near in or with relation with others, right? And that's kind of the same as this inner work relation. It's like, if I'm so afraid of what I'll find, that's why I don't detonate it. It's like, but if there's curiosity, if there's this sense of, oh, here's a trigger, what might happen if? Yeah, try it, And that was only possible for me when I learned how to do gentle, when I did not punish myself for what I might find when I was doing the work. So I wasn't doing the work, because it's like, oh no, I don't want to do that, because I knew I would punish myself. I knew I would do that.
Yes, for me, because what I know now about it, let's say you're living on a certain plane, and that's the harsh plane and the critical one, and you don't know that because it's normal.
Yep.
And you start to know when you in relationship, you meet with other people, and unbeknownst they do what they do, and kaboom! All right. So, but now I know it's so important, if you work with someone or with yourself, first, again, who are you? So if you're on this harsh plane, you first have to, let's call it lower in a gentler plane. Otherwise, it's the harsh one who is receiving feedback. It will explode. You really need to lower, and then you can receive this one, and it can land and
Yeah.
relax a bit. But if we bring you bring a very special element in this, in the work with yourself. And if we bring this in your first gem about relationship, so you can do the work in, with, and to.
Yeah.
Wow, probably they call it at the name spiritual bypass.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, probably there isn't anyone or anything that needs to be changed. But these days, I'm still busy with change.
But that's interesting because it's like, yeah, on one hand, and then on the other hand, it's this to within aspect there too. It's like, do you show up as Mayke, or do you show up as Mayke with these filters, these walls, these harnesses, these shields, these swords that come from, amongst other things, the categorization. No, she's yellow, and you're going inside. No, I'm red. I'm red. I'm red. No, you're yellow because we put you in this category. So you go out into the world and you try your best to be yellow, but on the inside you're screaming. You have a longing to be allowed to be the red that you are. So what is change then? Right? Is change you stripping away these to and with to be in? Or is change the other way around? No, you now need to go into the blue camp. But that's not you either. It's like, if you are to change, give me more of you. That's the change that I would love to see. It's like, and do I need it? No, but it makes me happy. There is that exhalation to be around people who, when they show up, when I sense that they are them and not all of these like externally put on layers. So what is change?
For me, I'm not quite sure if I changed so much. It's more about, for me, the change is in showing what I am, or
Yes.
showing what I'm hiding.
Yes.
So, and I know the end now. And it's not, I wanted to say bag, but let's say more nice, a container of shallowness, of fear, of jealousy, of mindlessness, of ignorance. And I can say that now and stay, breathe with it. And for me, it's important if I'm with you and to open up to that, to if it's in the moment, to open up. And this is what I'm at right now. So that I can open up about it. That's my, if we can talk about change, that's my change. And also that I know now I'm wide as wide can be. I'm kind. I'm sweet. I'm funny. I know that. So that both are there. It's so about allowing. I guess that's also a change from control to allowing, and to, I like the moments where I can surprise myself. And there is also an aspect of me that I don't know yet, and that's much more present than ever was. I only thought about myself in black and dark and nasty qualities.
And I mean, that's when you say, I don't know that I've changed that much, I can look at me and go, boy, have I changed a lot. Because that's my experience of me. It's like totally different from who I was 20, 25 years ago. But the change isn't me layering on other things because others need me to be this, that, and the other thing. The change that I experience is me taking away those things to reveal more of me, to be more me in the world, to and do I still show up with layers? Absolutely. Definitely. Yep. All the time. But fewer, that's a sense I have. It's fewer and perhaps a little bit more see-through, so that who I am, I think, shines through more in any given situation than 25 years ago, when it was like, keep that weird thing you are inside and then show up as this or that or the other thing. So the change that I experience me is me being more me.
Yeah. And again, true and nature pops up. True nature. Your true nature. My true nature.
Yeah. Which isn't a static. Right? It's like, there might be glorious weather or hail and rain or snow or, winds. It's like all of that is true nature, right? Yeah.
A lot of it's about, let's say, when you're applying for a job from, let's say, the outside world is pushing you into certain colors, and you need to answer it, and they, this is orange, you want orange, and is it, no, there's a bit another spot, you're not allowed to. What a difference it would have made, I don't know in what, if we had an education system with this, that you look at a child, let's say, as I call it, a blob, and the blob, it's always moving. So you're in a classroom with lots of blobs that takes on millions different colors. And that's a change of me. That it's only a few years ago that I started to think about myself as a moving landscape.
Yeah.
We can't. And what came through just a minute ago is about what's extremely important is your potential part needs to be close by. So because you're growing into it and you don't need to know it, but it's a bit about what Vanessa did with her own developed exercise. In the circle, she used words she wanted to grow into, and outside the circle, the words she wants to let go.
Mm.
So if you're in the grips of a harsh critic, it crunches any possible potential that's nearby.
And that is that sterile heart searching, I
Okay.
think.
Okay.
Right? It is that thing. It is where, yeah, you're finding these things, but you're not letting new things in and releasing old. You're just kind of, you're just doing the logging of it and not the moving in it.
Horrible.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Yes. So then it becomes a tool, and a tool you can use in bad or in good ways.
Yeah. Yes.
So I never ask it, but I love to come to a conclusion. And for me, it's who is the one who's doing it or who's being. Otherwise, you can go through the motions and then.
And I think you're right in that. If it is the harsh inner critic who's the one doing the work, good luck. Right? It's like, who am I being here? But if it is the one who does gentle, you'll get a different result. If it is the meta me that can see that here comes the harsh inner critic, has this to say, here comes the gentle one, has this to say, here comes the old wise woman, has this to say. It's like, so you're absolutely right. The starting point, the observer, through whose eyeballs am I seeing this?
And yeah, for me now, what becomes more important is to keep the potential energy lively.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Mayke.
Yeah.
This is our 5th conversation. It's our final with bunny ears for this pod series. You and I will continue to have conversations because we have been having conversations for many years by now. But it's the final one in this series of 5 people and 5 conversations. So I'm a bit curious about what it's been like. Have you learned something? Do you, positive or negative, good or bad, serving, not serving? It's like, what what's there for you if you kind of look back and go, 5 pod conversations.
Yeah, I wanted to say I loved it. I love it. I really, really, really love it. And now the word admiration pops up. Yeah, the way you do it, it is, I never felt expectations or pressure, or what happened it is really the meandering. And what was or is so very special to be listened to. And with you, it's much more. It's giving a plateau, a platform. And then, so what you have done, you made me real. I have said things that I didn't know I know, and it would have been covered, laying dormant underneath. And you, in our conversations, it started to bloom. Yeah, it became a very nice garden full of beautiful flowers. And the relationship I like. So this comes up between you and me, And also, you assumed, I guess. You didn't doubt. You assumed something will happen.
No, I knew.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that knowingness and that trust in me, that, yeah, it's an extremely nice place to be in for a while. Feel safe. Yeah, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Every time it touches the energy, and I feel afterwards, I feel lighter. I guess, yeah, you gave the best you can give to another human being. Being seen, being heard, opening up.
And I just want to make sure that you know from that knowing place that this isn't my doing, this is our doing. If I've made you feel seen and heard and listened to, you've made me feel seen and heard and listened to, right? So it is very much that co-creation, that thing that we make together. Yeah.
That's true. And Helena, it's the path you're talking about. What's first is you. And so you build a container, you build the bowl into which.
Yeah.
So, and that's again about the in with two.
Yeah.
So you already decide this will it be, and it's probably you never thought about it or consciously. So that there, you could have created a studio, let's say, and there are a lot of people who are they want guests and they are talking too.
Mm-hmm.
So already you start off on a certain level, or a lot is falling away, and over there it's open. It can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then then follows the co-creation. It's not one interviewer and interviewee. Then I can feel the weaving and the building and the lovely Helena.
Yeah, and it's been fun also for me to see how the interweaving also happens in between the 5 people, the 5 conversations of each person, where it's like you brought in Gary and me and Frank the other day, we brought in Allison. It's like, or topics from another of the conversation. So it's like there's the weaving within this conversation, there's the weaving within our 5 conversations, but there's also the weaving in between the other. So it's like it's quite a funky weave, right? Which is also why now we've set dates for a conversation with all of you who have been partaking in this, even though we couldn't find one date where everybody could do it. So we have 2 dates. But I'm really looking forward to that, because that will kind of, in a sense, make that weaving in between that has happened become a little bit more solid somehow. Take on a more like tangible shape or form or color, so I'm really looking forward to that, to see how that feels.
I really love you for what you are doing, all the work you're putting in, the technical work. But for me, it helps me so much to be in these days and this world, and knowing what you're doing, your hard work with team. Okay, Helena.
Okay, Mayke. Thank you for today, and thank you for being a part of my first season. This very like true experiment to see what might it be. Yeah, it's been fun, and we'll see each other.
Yes, of course.
Yes, that's for sure. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
You make a great day, my friend.
Yes, you too.